217-037 and 145502 and Cal BRE 01869452 and 1866775.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries. As we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media, this is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest, one of my favorites of all time, Frank Shankwitz. He is one of the co-founders of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Welcome, Frank.
Oh, Ron, thank you again for the invite. It's a shame we can't do this in person like our last visit. But this is nothing
so
at all.
nicer that way.
Yeah.
It would be. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are no operators standing by. I am it.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money, I personally work with you, even if you don't have any needs today. Save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And, of course, we celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. We do live in the greatest country in the world, even with all the craziness going on. We still have the greatest country in the world. Today is interesting because it's National Watermelon Day. I love watermelon, so seedless, please. And National Grab Some Nuts Day. I'm assuming they mean cashews or almonds, something along those lines. I'll go with those as well. And I am looking forward to tomorrow, just for those of you that are into planning. Tomorrow's National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. Just for those that are not aware, I've beaten anorexia, and I always volunteer on a gratis basis to do taste testing of chocolate chip cookies. You know, I'm more than willing to, go the extra mile for our audience and see if we can help out in that way. Hey, the Dow Jones Industrial Average right now, it's going up again, 243 points. The S&P 500 up 25. NASDAQ always goes up, or seemingly it always goes up, up 152 points. We're looking at oil up 77 cents a barrel. Why are all these things going like that? 10-year Treasury is up about 2 basis points. Yield there, 0.559. What's going on in these markets? Well, here's the issue. And I'm going to share this with you right now. I know that some of you, especially here in Calizuela. Now, Frank, he lives in America. He's over there in Arizona. But here in Calizuela, we might not like to hear this, but when the S&P 500 goes up from the 1st of August through the election day, the incumbent wins every time. It doesn't always work the other way, but the incumbent wins. And I know there's a lot of people that have their hair on fire if the president wins a re-election, because it just fascinates me listening to the malarkey that we get from some folks who say, well, he likes to be the divider. And I looked at some reports, and I was shocked to see how quickly it started with who was dividing who. How many Democrats do you believe showed up to the president's inauguration? How could he have, before he was ever in politics, they're claiming that he's the one that was the person responsible for the division in the United States. How many Democrats, elected Democrats, showed up for the inauguration? Well, put up one hand, put down 3 fingers, and you got it, 2. And that was because one of them was former President Obama and the other was former President Clinton. Who's dividing who here? Just throw that out there. 19 minutes later, the Washington Post came out with their first article on impeaching the president. 19 minutes into his administration. Talk about that honeymoon period. Moving right along. You know, there's a lot of folks that are talking right now, a lot of pain in our country right now. And it is a shame. There are a lot of people that have lost their jobs, lost their lives due to this pandemic. Obviously, we mourn every life lost. There's no good life that's lost to this pandemic. I know there's some people. I've now heard of about 8 people. This fascinates me because we've got these individuals who don't believe in some of the numbers that come out. I might be one of them. Now that I've talked about 8 different people who went and got a COVID test. Now, here's the fascination is they got the test, they did not swab, and they turned it back in, and miraculously, they came back positive. How does that work? I'm not sure how they got a positive reaction when they never, ever put the swab in their nose. That's an interesting one. But we move on. Then we look and see that Dr. Fauci, the Democrats' #1 resource in the pandemic, came out and talked about during the swine flu how great hydroxychloroquine was. They've now got the audio of that report, yet we can't use it for the coronavirus. Got to wonder about that one. And then we're looking and seeing about all of the different folks that have had some problems with this concept that we're going into about how do we solve and help those Americans that are hurting. Well, the fascination to me is the Democrats want to continue this $600 a week unemployment benefit on top of whatever the states normally give. Now, we've found out that there's about 70+% of the population that's on unemployment collecting more money on unemployment than going to work, but that is the Democrat solution. Why? Are you supposed to get a raise to be unemployed? Now, and I'm going to tell you firsthand that I don't like the idea, but I love my son dearly. He works at Disneyland, and he's been getting more money on unemployment than he ever made at Disneyland. So he benefits from this whole thing, and I still say it is not good for our country. We need to get back to people going to work, and the handouts. Eventually, somebody's going to have to pay that bill. Is it going to be your kids, your grandkids, your great-grandkids? But somebody's going to have to pay that bill. And I'm glad that there are some people now finally starting to realize that we've got to be a little bit more fiscally conservative. I just heard a couple of articles recently, and I found these very fascinating. You know that I have a private news service, and I get a lot of information from my private news service. And I listened to the mayor of Chicago. Yes, that's the same city where many, many people get shot every weekend. Many are killed every weekend, and the mayor and the police and the governor are not letting the police officers, I shouldn't say the police, it's the leadership there that doesn't let the police officers do what they know they need to do and are capable of doing. And I saw an interview with the mayor. We will not let the federal government come into our territory. Well, maybe the mayor, and she might have been watching Fox News because Judge Napolitano apparently missed this also. But U.S. Code 40, Section 1315, U.S. Code 40, Section 1315. And I'll quote what it says there. Agents can carry firearms, arrest those accused of committing a crime without a warrant, and conduct investigations on and off the property in question, unquote. So I guess the president does have the authority to send in U.S. Marshals to enforce the law, to keep people safe. Maybe we need to get this mayor some information on this so she can help out and understand maybe what the laws of the land are. And the mayor of Chicago probably does not have authority over the federal government. Maybe that would be helpful if we can get some information like that to her. Moving right along in the rundown, you know something, I've always been a big sports fanatic. I love all of them other than soccer because I'm not really, I don't understand it enough. It seems to me like I'm watching grass grow. But basketball, football, baseball, hockey, I like them all. But you know something? can't we get a game day without any politics? I'm watching some of the sports here with all the Black Lives Matter, and I think all lives matter. I particularly feel that Blue Lives Matter is more the thing that we should celebrate or honor than Black Lives Matter. But here's my issue. The ratings for baseball and basketball are both down. Do you think it has to do with the political statements that are being made at these sporting events? The Pac-12 now says that some of the players are going to boycott. Good. Let them go get a job, right? They're getting an education for free. Kick them out of school if they're not going to do the work that they're getting traded. They're getting an education in exchange for playing ball, playing a game, right? Half the people in the NBA, the players in the NBA, are not college educated. They might have gone to a college for a short period of time. Let them see if they can go out in the real world and make $1 million a year or $30 million a year. I will guarantee you they can't do it. Yet they complain about the injustice in America. Just drives me bananas, or maybe even more. But you're listening to Ron Siegel Radio. We're going to digress. You're listening, and we're going to get you some information about how you can be of service to your community. That's our topic today. Experts weighing in on the remarkable strength of the housing market. Maybe the United States Census Bureau made a mistake last week. I think they did. We're going to talk about that in the Mortgage Minute. I'll even share with you the exact numbers. But you can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter @Ron Siegel. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, shame on you. But the replay is available, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
In the middle of our streets,
Are you looking to save secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Did you know that banks and credit bureaus are rewarded financially if you have bad credit? And the worse your credit score is, the more money they can make off of you? How does that make you feel, knowing that banks are getting rich off of your hard-earned money? How does it make you feel, knowing that if a bank or a credit bureau makes a mistake on your credit report, they benefit from it and it hurts you? The Fair Credit Report Act of 1971 requires banks and credit bureaus to report only accurate information, and nearly 100% of all credit reports are inaccurate. If you're sick and tired of being broke and tired of being robbed by the banks, you owe it to yourself and to your family to call Rondi. Rondi is a FICO certified credit professional and has helped thousands of people just like you get out of debt and establish great credit. Rondi's number is 855-608-1990. Again, that's 855-608-1990. Or visit creditsanitizer.com. Again, that website is creditsanitizer.com.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694552.
Are you a veteran, police officer, firefighter, doctor, nurse, or teacher? If so, you qualify as one of Ron Siegel's VIP heroes, and we have rewards up to $5,000 or $10,000 when you buy, sell, or refinance a home with one of the Ron Siegel Radio partners. As one of the heroes, real estate agents will rebate part of their commission. Lending partners will give a credit at closing. The title company has special published rates, and many other service providers have incentives too. All you need to do is call Ron Siegel Radio at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit VIPHeroProgram.com. Just think about what you will do with all the rebates and incentives from the partners of Ron Siegel Radio. Just call us at 800-306-1990 so we can show you our appreciation for your service.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Gold Star Mortgage. When you're ready for that next mortgage, Gold Star has the programs and the products. You just need to make the call. What's going on in the mortgage market right now? Well, the Dow Jones, as I told you earlier, is up 245 points. NASDAQ up 154, S&P 500 up 25. The 10-year Treasury now up 3 basis points, and mortgage-backed securities are down 2 basis points, which means interest rates are basically flat. Not a whole lot of movement there. But you could get all that information as I share with you on a regular basis. That is all readily available on that super secret website. Yes, indeed. That would be called google.com. The question about why is it happening, that is not available on that super secret website. But we're watching along what's going on. Apple and Microsoft, they're pushing the markets way up. Microsoft has 45 days to buy TikTok from the Chinese, from their owners. We know that it's the Chinese government, but we don't want to say that. Microsoft stock was up about $8 earlier in the day, so we'll see what happens there. That's enough for them to buy TikTok just on that part alone. But here's an interesting number. Recently, the Census Bureau released a report showing that home ownership rate increased in the second quarter to a 13-year high at 68.2%, up from 65.3%. But when looking at the data, this would mean that we would have had to have seen 4.77 million homes sold in the second quarter. 4.77 million homes sold.
You know better than that.
Yeah, we didn't have that many homes sold. So what is that going to mean for you? New home sales report showed 325,000 sales, while existing home sales report showed 1.25 million sales during the same period. Totals out at 1.575. Only about 3.2 million off. Part of the reason for the inaccuracy is response rate, which dropped from 79% to 67%. So we are going to see that number is going to be revised. I'm very, very confident of that. Market sentiment, though, that's the issue of a number that we've got to really be careful of, because market sentiment is basically when everybody's out there buying stocks, that's a great time for you not to be buying stocks, right? That's a great time for you to be selling stocks. When you're here getting your stock tips from the water cooler, yeah, you may be having a problem right there. That may not be the best idea. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Gold Star Mortgage. I shared with you earlier that one of my favorite folks of all time, one of my favorite people to have on the broadcast of all time, Frank Shankwitz, is with us. And if you don't know the name, that means you missed the movie. Wishman is the name of the movie, but that's just a byproduct of the great things that Frank has done. And the legacy of Frank Shankwitz is the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Welcome, Frank.
Oh, thank you, Ron. Appreciate the invite.
Yeah, that's great to have you with us. So give us a little bit of the background. Not many people, if they haven't watched the movie, which it should be an Academy Award winner. I don't know if you're political enough to be an Academy Award winner. You know, all that political correctness. I shouldn't say that, but we know I can almost predict every Academy Award winner because they've got some very common characteristics anymore. But tell us the background of where the Make-A-Wish Foundation came from.
Well, we go back now. It's 40 years old, and I founded it in 1980. But the inception, the idea to start it with was this was a TV show, Chips. So it was very popular during the day. And for people who don't recall, Chips was the adventures of two California Highway Patrol motorcycle officers, Ponch and John. very popular, especially with the kids. And I was a Highway Patrol motorcycle officer during this period. In fact, we trained initially with California Highway Patrol up in Sacramento. Our equipment was identical. Our uniforms are almost identical, except obviously ours to Arizona. But the Arizona Highway Patrol commanders were informed one day about a 7-year-old boy named Chris, who had terminal leukemia. And Chris only had a couple weeks to live. And a family friend, in fact, a customs agent named Tommy Austin, advised that Chris wished he could meet a Highway Patrol motorcycle officer, because when he grew up, he was going to be a Highway Patrol motorcycle officer. And Agent Austin said, is there any way that the Highway Patrol can help him kind of help with this wish? And I happened to be the motorcycle officer they chose. And I had never met this little boy, but it was arranged where, with the permission of his doctor and his mother, that our state police helicopter would pick him up at his hospital and fly him to our headquarters building in Phoenix, where they asked me to be standing by with the motorcycle. And again, I said, I didn't know this little boy, had no idea what to expect. But they timed it whereas I'm approaching the landing zone, the helicopter is coming in, and all I can see is this big face and grin plastered on the helicopter window. Helicopter lands, this little boy jumps out, runs over to their motorcycle. But he just came off IVs. He's in a hospital bed, but he's running all around. Can I get on a motorcycle? Well, of course you can, Chris. And he watched the show so much, Ron, he knew every button and switch of that motorcycle. Again, ours was identical to California Highway Patrol. This is the siren. Can I turn it on? These are the red lights. Well, yes. He is laughing and grinning. I'm looking at his mother and she's crying. Why is she crying? Because she had your 7-year-old back. Just this typical little boy instead of on a hospital bed. But just to kind of condense this story, Chris became, in the next couple of days, the first and only honorary Highway Patrol motorcycle officer then in the history of the Highway Patrol, complete with a custom-made uniform we made for him, the smoky hat, even a motorcycle helmet, his own badge, which is still assigned to him today. But most important to him is motorcycle wings that we wear on our uniforms, making him a full motorcycle police officer. And unfortunately, he passed away a couple of days later after all these events happened. And my commander came to me and said, we have lost a fellow officer. I would like you and your partner to go back to this little town of Kewanee, Illinois, about 108 miles southwest of Chicago, to give him a full police funeral, which we did. Now, this is the days before internet, cell phones, anything like that. When we landed in Chicago, the press picked it up. The local TV stations, the NBC, ABC, CBS, asking about our mission. And all of a sudden, we started getting coverage on that. What we didn't know is they notified the affiliates in Des Moines, which is the closest place to this little town of Kewanee. And when we arrived in Kewanee, we were met by Illinois State Police, City Police, County Police, all wanting to help us bury this little boy to honor this little trooper. And Chris was buried in uniform. His grave marker reads, Chris Gracious, Arizona Trooper. But flying home, I just started thinking, here's a boy that had a wish, and we made it happen. Why can't we do that for other children? And that's when the idea of the Make-A-Wish Foundation was born, maybe 35,000 feet over Kansas or somewhere.
You know, Frank, I've heard you tell that story, I don't know, dozens and dozens of times. And every single time I get chills over and over again hearing about it, because if you're a parent out there and you hear that, you've got to, either you have no blood in your veins or you get chills, one or the other, because I don't think there could be anything worse in life than burying a child. And having been given that ability to go out and make that little boy's, dream come true at that point in his life, I get the chills of over and over again. It's just amazing. So go backwards then a little bit in your story then, and tell me how you got into what was it in your childhood that brought you to going out there to serve others in the police force?
Well, kind of a strange childhood, and it's not so much different than any other, but enough where Hollywood decided to make a movie about it. But when I was 2 years old, my mother divorced my father. I was born in Chicago. Mother divorced my father. She left, had no idea where. Ages 2 to 6 were very happy years with my dad, my grandparents, my aunt, uncle, my cousins. Just so much fun years. family outings, everything. In kindergarten, on recess, a lady grabs me. I'm your mother. I had no idea who she was. You're coming with me, and literally kidnapped me because my father had custody. And she said, we're going to Arizona. And I hadn't, in kindergarten, we had got the geography, and I had no idea where Arizona was. But all of a sudden started from this happy childhood to just a childhood for the next several years of survival. We ended up in Michigan. Why I'm Michigan, but I ended up living in a tent in campgrounds in the summertime when the cold weather hit up there in the car, finally old flop houses. Food was always an issue. And then finally at 10 years old, my father found us. I went to get the authorities to arrest her. At that time, again, everything we had, she threw in an old Jeep and headed out to Arizona. It took 6 weeks to get there. And I had never lived in a town where I had friends. We were always out in the bushes somewhere, again, trying to hide from my father. But ended up in this little town in Seligman, Arizona, on Upper Route 56. And it was the first time in my life that all of a sudden we're in a town that I could go to school or have friends. But the biggest thing, Ron, was I started working full-time as a dishwasher, 10 years old. But I met a Mexican gentleman that was building something across the street, which turned out to be iconic snow cap, which is like a Dairy Queen. People go from all over the world just to see this, and that's a long story in itself. But this man became my father figure, Juan Delgadillo. In fact, we feature him in the movie, and started teaching me about work ethic, started teaching me about the character and integrity. Those two traits are in fact developed. You're not born with those. But the biggest thing was to give back. Now we're so poor, the poor people are helping us. And I remember, this is in the mid-50s, early 50s. Juan, what do you mean give back? The poor people are feeding us. Frank, you don't have to have money to give back. You can show your appreciation by giving back your time. An example, look at the widow Sanchez. She's always trying to bring you and your mom beans and tortillas to help you out. Look at her front yard. It's a mess. You're big enough. You can go weed that yard, clean it up. You can help paint that porch. So that's when I started this whole thing of giving back whenever I could.
That's amazing how, and that's a great story because there's so many people that are out there saying that, something, I don't have enough to give back, especially in these days where, we've got 20% unemployment right now. Everybody has time. There's, when my wife and I were younger, we used to say that I didn't have the time to be we didn't have the money to be the check writer at events. But we had the time to be the elbow grease at some of these events, and volunteer. So, and they needed both. I mean, you started a major organization. We're going to talk more about that when we come back. But I bet you needed people that had money, and you needed people that had elbow grease, and you needed both in order to be successful. We'll talk more with Frank Shankwitz when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. We're going to also chat just a little bit about experts weighing in on the remarkable strength of the housing market. All that and more. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Connect with us, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter @Ron Siegel. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Siegel Lending Team offers you buying power. Let's say you can afford a monthly mortgage payment, including principal and interest, of around $1,900. With today's rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage of 3.75%, APR 3.85%, that payment could support a $416,000 mortgage. But if you wait and rates tick up to around 6.5%, which is roughly the average home mortgage rate over the past 30 years, that same $1,900 mortgage payment, including principal and interest, may only be able to support a $314,000 mortgage. That's over $100,000 worth of home you're missing out on by waiting. That's buying power. All you need to do to get started is reach out to the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Payment example excludes taxes and insurance. Call us for full details, 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 or SiegelLendingTeam.com. Equal housing lender, licensed under NMLS number 217037.
Are you purchasing or own a luxury home? If you're like so many others, your home is your largest asset and the mortgage is your largest debt. The Siegel lending team has some amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates below 4%, 15-year rates near 3.5%, and if you can believe it, 7-year interest-only hybrids in low 3s. The Siegel lending team has all the options for your jumbo or second home loan requirements. Take advantage of them while you can. To learn more about all the other financing products available from the Siegel lending team, call 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Again, call 1-800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender.
Homeowners that are 62 and older are about to find out a great way to live a better retirement. It's called a reverse mortgage, and SLT can help you learn more. Call the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990 right now to receive your free booklet with no obligation. It answers questions like how a reverse mortgage works, how much you qualify for, the ways to receive your money, and more. When you call the experts at Siegel Lending Team today, you'll learn the benefits of a government-insured reverse mortgage, how it will eliminate your monthly mortgage payments, and give you tax-free cash from the equity in your home. Here's the best part. You still own your home. Now is the best time to take control of your retirement. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 to get your free brochure. Call today or visit our website at SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com, or simply call 800-306-1990.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, the real-time real estate segment today. Being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Text SLT Home Digest, SLT Home Digest to 79564. Find your dream home before someone else does. That'll tell you exactly what the county recorder knows about your property and what the market believes about your property. Experts weigh in on the remarkable strength of the housing market. America has faced its share of challenges in 2020. I'll say a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic, a financial crisis leaving millions still unemployed, and an upcoming presidential election that may prove to be one of the most contentious in our nation's history, all continue to test this country in unimaginable ways. Even with all that uncertainty, the residential real estate market continues to show great resilience. Here's a look at what the experts have said about the housing market over the past few weeks. Ivy Zellman, CEO of Zellman & Associates, quote, "Whether in terms of pending contract activity or our proprietary buyer demand ratings, the various measures of demand captured in this month's survey can only be described as shockingly strong. In spite of the resurgence in COVID-19 cases." Logan Moshtani, lead housing analyst at Housing Wire, quote, "Existing home sales are still down year over year by 11.3%, but as crazy as that might sound, we have found a shot at getting positive year over year growth. We may see an existing home sales print of 5.5 million in 2020. Matthew Speakman, Zillow economist, quote, "In a remarkable show of resilience, the housing market has shared the pandemic right in the eye and hasn't blinked." Stared it right in the eye and hasn't blinked. There's a lot, and there's more and more of those on the report that we shared earlier today. The bottom line, experts agree that residential real estate is doing remarkably well. If you're thinking of jumping into the housing market, buying or selling, this might be the time for you to do it. That is the real-time real estate segment, again, brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Text SLT Home Digest to 79564. Find your dream home before someone else does. Chatting this morning, Frank Shankwitz is in the house or on the line. We're not together right now. Virtually, we're together. Chatting about the story of Frank Shankwitz, how he became, or the motivation to get him to what he did, where he's at. And for those that don't know, Frank is the founder of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, Arizona highway patrolman, motor officer, and the inspiration for a tremendous movie. And I don't go to the movies very often. I don't like movies, but I did watch Wishman. I think we've watched it a couple of times at our house. And Frank is the inspiration for a 2019 Academy Award nomination for Best Picture Oscar. So we were chatting before the break, Frank, about the concept of being able to give back regardless of your financial situation. And you're living proof that you don't have to have money to give back. And I was mentioning that my guess is that when you were going through the starting of and the building of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, that you needed elbow grease or back muscle as well as dollars. Am I somewhat on track there?
Oh, yes, definitely. It's so hard to put it together and get, this is again before the days of internet, cell phones, so everything is word of mouth. The media, the radio stations like yours to get on the stations, to get on the TV stations. But the biggest thing, Ron, is nobody ever heard of anything like this. There was nothing like this anywhere in the United States, the world. And when we did grant, in fact, our first official wish in March of 1981, you mentioned your son works at Disneyland, and that was our first wish, Disney. But because of that wish, Disney gave us so much publicity that it just exploded nationwide. Look at what these people are doing. So the elbow grease was on my part because I was still working as a full-time as a police officer and also trying to run the foundation. I was the first president and CEO. But again, the donations, and it was the mom and pop dollars that were so important and are still so important today. Your $15, your $25 donation. Your corporate donations are nice, but they never equal what the mom and pop dollars are.
That's interesting that you say that because I never realized that part of it, that the mom and pop dollars are greater than those big numbers that we hear, in the news.
Yeah, so you get a Macy's is a great example. Every year up until, I don't know about this year, Macy's would donate $1 million to the Make-A-Wish Foundation at Christmas time. If you go into a Macy's store and mail a letter to Santa because the mailbox is in the Macy's store, they give $1 for every letter that they get mailed to Santa. And what a great marketing thing on Macy's, because you're in the store, well, I guess I might as well shop while I'm here. But that's $1 million. You get the mom and pop dollars, the $25 checks times 30, 40 million people, what does that equal to?
Yeah, that's some big dollars. So, when we talk about when we hear about movies being made, and most of us are not educated on making a movie or what goes into a movie, but we hear that term, what is it called, literary license, or how much of the movie is really true?
About 70%. When you go to a movie and just like it's based on a true story, that's not the true story. And we had to that's why it took 2.5 years to write the screenplay. I didn't write the screenplay. I assisted. Theo Davies, the director and also the screenwriter. What a fantastic job he did. But it was give and take between him and I because I had one of those contracts. I've worked with Hollywood before where I had full script approval. They couldn't do it on a part of the screenplay unless I said, okay, that worked. So there's some things we had embellished a little bit. But to answer your question, about 70% was true in that movie.
What a great story. Did you have a part in the movie? Were you an actor in the movie, or were you just a behind the scenes person?
Behind the scenes, mostly. I had one scene, a cameo scene. They decided they didn't want my face on camera. It just wasn't good enough. The closing scene where you see a motorcycle riding into the sunset, that's my backside. They figured that was my best profile, was the backside of me.
Well, you and I can both say the same thing, Frank, then. We've both got faces for radio.
Yeah.
Well, even at 70%, and obviously we don't know which 70%, but we do know the story from what you've shared with us this morning, and from our other conversations. It's just a very, very inspirational story, and you really hope that people will look out there and understand especially in this day and age, because one of the things that we don't talk about in this day and age at all are the great things that the men and women of law enforcement are doing that never makes the news. Talk a little bit about that, if you would, Frank, because you've got a great story here, but I would bet that there's other law enforcement people that you come in contact with, or that are still helping the foundation today.
Oh, yes, all over the United States. I can't even mention how many state police agencies, city, county police agencies do so much similar for, and it's not for Make-A-Wish, but it's the same principle. They meet a little boy, a little girl that wants to be a police officer, a deputy, a state trooper. They get them the uniforms, or they learn that they're some illness where they can't leave their house, especially now, the pandemic, and it's time for a birthday party. And it's city, a county, a state, all of a sudden, here's all the troopers, the city, the deputies, whatever it might be, driving by the house, red lights and sirens, dropping off guests. This happens nationwide every day. I mean, and it's just such a bad image right now. And of course, it started several years ago, the war on police. And that's why I'm involved with one of my nonprofits. It's for the Wounded Blue. We're based out of Las Vegas to help police officers in need.
Interesting. I want to find out more about that one because that's a passion of mine as well. I'm going to talk more about the Wounded Blue when we come back with Frank Shankwitz. And one other story that I want to hear from Frank when we come back, and producers, I'm going to get rid of the Your Credit Matters segment so we can talk more about Frank. But Frank was actually killed in the line of duty, and he's still sitting here talking to us. How could that be the case? We're going to learn about that part of the Frank Shankwitz story as well. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter @Ron Siegel. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply what you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Most businesses struggle to get the online reviews they need to get a competitive edge over their competition. Rex is a brand new technology that uses text messages to direct happy clients to your online review sites, Zillow, Google, Facebook, and Yelp, and unhappy clients to a private survey, so businesses can win more customers. Try Rex today by going to www.meetrex.com.
Are you currently renting a home? Do you like paying someone else's mortgage payment? Why not explore the options to purchase your own home? Can you imagine a 30-year fixed-rate loan below 4.25% APR? This means with $10,500, you can purchase a $295,000 home and have a principal and interest payment of about $1,400 per month. What are you paying in rent? Does your family deserve the opportunity to take advantage of the current market? To learn more about these exciting opportunities, the Siegel Lending Team is standing by to speak with you. Call now, 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Or 1-800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender. Not endorsed or sponsored by any government agency.
Do you have a goal of mortgage-free home ownership? What if your home was valued at $500,000? Are you aware that a free and clear home could be costing you $2,500 every month, $30,000 per year? The mortgage planners at the Siegel Lending Team would like to show you how you can own your home, generate tax-free income, and accumulate family wealth. You simply need to call the Ron Siegel team at 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990. By sending the team a copy of your most recent mortgage statement, the team will send you a no-obligation real estate plan. You be the judge if this is right for your family. Again, all you have to do is send the team a copy of your mortgage statement by email to reap@ronsiegelradio.com or call today. Ron Siegel, 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990.
Rate subject to change and without notice. Licensed by the California DOC and BRE NMLS 217037 and 145502 and Cal BRE 01869452 and 1866775.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions, as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by creditsanitizer.com. You have a credit report. It is wrong. What are you doing about it? Credit Sanitizer has these solutions for you. We're not going to go into the report today. I just want to get you that information because they tell me I have to. But I'm going to go back to the conversation that I want to have. And being that it's my show, I get to do that. Frank Shankwitz is on the line with us. We're chatting a bit about his, I guess it's your former, or you're the founder, but you're not with the Make-A-Wish Foundation anymore, are you, Frank?
Correct. I resigned because I wanted to get involved with several other nonprofits around the United States, so it wouldn't be a conflict of interest.
But it's a great organization. We love it. We like to, and the history that Frank has shared with us is just, it's chilling to me. But Frank, tell us the story because, not many people get to say that they've died and can talk about it.
Well, I mentioned I was a motorcycle officer. I was on Highway Patrol. I was on a 10-man tactical unit, motorcycle unit, worked the whole state of Arizona. And in one area, we were working time during the Easter break. I mean, just the thousands of kids from California. Anyhow, on a high-speed chase with a drunk driver, 85 miles an hour in a 25 zone, when another drunk driver pulled right in front of me. I couldn't do what we call our break and escape maneuver and hit him broadside at 85. I was told the crash was spectacular. I was pronounced dead at the scene. My partner tried to revive me. He could not do it. They called in our code 963A, officer killed in the line of duty. And every we're talking obviously, but every police officer ever worked with, Ron, they believe in a higher being, no matter what the religion or it might be. You say a prayer every day, please allow me to come home. You get home, thank you for allowing me to come home. And I believe in guardian angels, but not with the wings and the whole thing. God takes care of you in other ways. And in this case, he sent an off-duty emergency room nurse that saw the accident, stopped at the scene, said to my partner, I'm going to try and revive him. He said, he's dead. We have no pulse. Well, obviously, she didn't listen to him because you and I are talking. But for 4 minutes, performed CPR and brought me back to life. And it took a long time to recover from that accident. I had a massive brain injury, skull fracture, broken bones, missing skin. But the biggest thing during counseling was the psychological counseling, make sure I was okay to go back to work, was, Frank, God scared you for a reason, and now it's up to you to find that reason. And 2 years later, I found that reason when I was introduced to the little boy that inspired me to start the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Wow, what an inspiring story. Now, you're not with Make-A-Wish now. What are you doing these days to keep yourself busy?
Well, besides the nonprofits, I'll go into that in a minute, but real excited. We've been approached by the major networks to develop a new television show. The working title is Wishman, Angel Patrol, and this is on the concept of Charlie's Angels and Extreme Home Makeover, where we're going out throughout the United States. The areas have been devastated by either floods, tornadoes, fires, whatever it be, police officers, veterans, homeless, whoever we can help out, whoever we can give back, to go in those communities and try and help somebody out, try and help a community out. So much time we're working on the deck right now in sponsorships, and hopefully we're going to start filming actually later this year. But also sit on a board of 7 nonprofits, 8 now, I just started another one, around the United States, using my credentials, per se, my name, to help develop these new nonprofits. We're working with the homeless. We're working with homeless veterans. We're working with children on a Broadway. Broadway Heart's a fun one that they go into. I know several actors and actresses from Phantom of the Opera and other shows on Broadway, and they go into these children's hospitals, Ronald McDonald Homes, entertain the kids and help develop scholarships also. Like I mentioned, the Wounded Blue out of Las Vegas, helping police officers around the nation. And then the Rugby Foundation, based again out of Las Vegas, where teaching kids sportsmanship, the inner city kids, and teaching them actually how to give back to the community. And the one that scares me a little bit is Women of Global Change. I'm the only male member on that. and Women of Global Change, not only through the United States, but third world countries, helping develop schools, clean water, clothing, whatever it might be. So we stay very busy.
That's amazing how you're continuing to, after you've, I guess it's called an encore, I guess, in the movie world, right? Or in entertainment.
Yeah, we hope so. So yeah, we just keep going on that, especially like you mentioned, Wishman is now on Netflix. It was a 6-month run. We just got extended for another full year.
That's great. I mean, it's a great show and an inspirational message, and especially in this time right now, where we've got a lot of loons in our country that are vilifying police officers. I love the idea of having something out there letting us know what the real police officers stand for. I mean, we know that there's always going to be 1 or 2% in any population that are going to be bad apples. I've talked to so many law enforcement people, and they want those bad apples out of the organizations worse than the rest of us do. So it's great seeing that you're out there putting out a positive message. And tell me a little bit more, because I mean, I'm intrigued just on the one you talked about, Wounded Blue.
Yeah, Wounded Blue. The president and CEO of that, Randy Sutton, is a retired Las Vegas Metro Police Lieutenant, the most decorated officer in the history of Las Vegas Metro. But he came up with an idea that, and I was one of those guys. You hear about PTSD. A police officer goes to their commander. I mean, we see death so much time. We see unbelievable things that people don't see every day. And finally, it gets to your head. We call it ghosts. You just can't sleep. But if you go to your supervisor, and this happens today, Sarge, Lieutenant, whatever it might be, I need to talk to somebody, I need constant. And they say, if you can't handle a job, you're fired. So you've got to keep this in. You can't talk to anybody. We're developing, I think we now have almost 80 private licensed psychologists across the United States, where these police officers can contact them for one-on-one counseling without their department knowing about it, so they can get what we call a ghost out of their head. And also developing where these officers are injured in the line of duty, a lot of these agencies, instead of saying you're on sick leave, you're fired. You can't do that. It's against the law, but they're trying to do it. So we're developing legal counsel around the United States where these officers can go so they can take care of themselves and their families.
That's a great mission, and I'm gonna offline. I'd love you to get me the information on them so we can give them some publicity out here as well. So during the days, though, I know that you do a lot of speaking. Tell me about your speaking engagements, and obviously, or I would guess, I shouldn't say obviously, how's this pandemic affecting your ability to go out and chat with folks?
100%. I'm so fortunate, Ron, to have this new career as a professional speaker. I retired as a homicide detective. What I'm going to do next? And then all of a sudden, I've got this speaking career. But in this year so far, 8 engagements have been canceled because of the Chinese virus. And but we're doing more and more virtual things, which keeps my name out there, which keeps the message out there that everyone can be a hero when you can. Please help somebody out. So, but a lot of them are already scheduled into 2021.
Well, anybody that wants a recommendation just from a little talk show host here in Southern California, great message, and anybody that can get you to come and speak there, they would be doing whatever their organization is, a wonderful feat there to have you come and speak. I mean, it's just such an inspirational story. But tell me this one, though. I heard a bit that you've got a star, and in addition to the star that you've worn on your chest, there's another star that you have?
I don't know how this came about. I'm so humbled, embarrassed, flattered. On the Las Vegas Walk of Fame, I received my star. It's on the Las Vegas Strip, right in front of the Paris Hotel. And what's so interesting, it's 2 stars down from Elvis Presley. And I mentioned that it's interesting because I'm very good friends with Elvis Presley's stepbrother, David Stanley, and also a couple down from Bobby Darin, who I just loved as a kid, his music and his movies and so on. But it was a big ceremony. I mean, it was just fabulous. They contacted me, said, we want to put your star there because of what you've done for the world with these children. So again, very flattered, somewhat embarrassed, but humbled by the whole experience.
And tell me one other thing. I mean, because that doesn't surprise me. You being humbled by something like that does not surprise me knowing you. But you also had a bit of influence on where Wishman was filmed. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Well, I wanted to film again to give back to the community, and Arizona doesn't give tax credits to Hollywood any longer. And I wanted the film here because Hollywood brings in a lot of money to the community, and I just lobbied very hard. And because I know so many people in this town, I live in Prescott, Arizona, up in the mountains, northern Arizona, where I knew an old warehouse could be turned into soundstage studios, offices, locations that we used. They normally charge $20,000 for TV commercials and that. They would do it free. So because I came up with saving over $1 million just in location costs, the studio said, yes, we will film in the area. And it was the way, again, to give back to this community that was so good to me growing up, even as a kid.
That is great information. And I've got scrolling on the screen right now for those of you that are watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv or on our AM 1490 KMET video feed. We've got the ways that you can actually get more information on Frank Shankwitz, wishman1.com, wishman1.com. And as always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to John and Sean, who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.
Lights go out and I can't be saved. Tides that I tried to swim against.